Jake Whittaker hails from southeast Queensland. Earlier this year, he appeared in the Tamworth Country Music Festival as a grand finalist in the Toyota Star Maker competition, and he has no doubt been getting up to other things at Tamworth and elsewhere. He has released several singles to date. The fourth and latest is Shoey, which is, as Becky Cole might call it, a rootin' tootin' boot scootin' good time. Hello, Jake.
G'day, how you doing?
That's the phrase that came to mind when I heard this song. I was like, I heard Becky say it once. I'm like, that's what the song is. But Jake, I am quite sure you are not the sort of person to do a shoey. Why are you singing about them?
No, I'm definitely partial to a shoey here and there. Hey, I'm not afraid of one. They're pretty fun, and they're definitely not as bad as you think. It's not a problem with them.
Not as bad as we think, as in even if the shoe's a little worn in, it doesn't taste too bad to drink out of it.
Nah, it's more of a mind over matter thing. I think that's the biggest thing of the shoeys. They're like, just drinking out of a shoe.
So whereas in days gone past, people might have walked over hot coals, these days they're doing a shoey as a mind over matter exercise.
I guess so, yeah. It's like, oh, well, just get it done. It's a bit of fun. Part of the Aussie larrikin culture, isn't it?
That's true. When do you remember your first shoey?
I think I reckon I've done them before this, but I think it was that for part of rugby, and it was like part of this initiation thing that we had to do a shoey out of this props boot that has been done. But like, I wasn't worried about it because 10 people had done it before me on the same night, so they've washed it out for me. It was sweet as. So, like, once again, it's just that thought. But oh my, it's the clean shoe.
Yeah. So when you decided to capture the experience in a song, what was the starting point for that song?
It actually, a guy, Gavin Carfoot, actually approached me and said, "I've got this like cool idea for a song," and he had a really strong bass for it, and took it to me, and I was like, "I love this. This is very up my alley and my friends group, because we're all partial to a couple of too many beers and a shoey and a bit of fun."
Yeah.
And then we took that song to Jared as well, and we kind of all finished it off, and yeah, that's Shoey.
So Jared is Jared Adlam, the producer, and he's quite a busy man because his name comes up often. He is based in Queensland. Is that partly why you're working with him, or you've worked with him before?
I work with Jared a lot. I went to university with Jared, and we're like best mates. So he doesn't have an option, and I don't have an option. That's it. I'm stuck with him for life. So it's good. We get along really well together. We know each other really well, so we work well together, and that's why I bring all my stuff to him, because he's extremely talented. And where safe around stuff, you team with people that are better than you, and he's definitely that. He's amazing.
But sometimes when you know someone well, it can go the other way, right? Like there's a lot at stake when you're friends to enter then a working relationship and a creative partnership, which is what that is. So from the start, did you just feel like your friendship meant you could communicate really clearly, and that was to the benefit of the music?
Yeah, and I think we don't get upset with each other, say if we're in a writing session together and we sit down, we write, and we go, "Nah, I don't like it." We don't get all offended because we're like, "Oh, move on, let's go. We'll find something." You know what I mean? Like, we know each other well enough that I don't know, if we can't really upset each other and we get along well. We'd be a good married couple, to be fair. Like,
but it's also interesting, that aspect of saying, "Oh, don't worry, we'll find something else" in a writing session, because it suggests that you know that you don't have to clutch onto your ideas. Like, there will be more ideas.
Oh, there always is, and I think getting attached to things in the writing session definitely slows things down. So like, it's always happy, like, "Oh, let's put a pin on it, come back to it if we can't think of something now, and then we'll come back and go, all right, this is not as good as we hoped, so let's change it." And sometimes you kind of want to fight for a line, but then you go, "Oh well, let's see what we can get. I thought it was great, but let's keep working on it. Let's workshop it, and then we can put that in the back burner. If we can't find something, put it back in. Who cares?"
So also, just on the note of slowing things down, that suggests to me that you do have a real sense of flow in the writing process. Like, it's like, well, we don't want to dam that up now. If we're in a flow, it's better overall for the song we're working on, or anything else we're working on, to just keep moving and acknowledge that we may come back to this thing.
Yeah, I've always kind of been that with anything, even like at university with my assignments. I was kind of just to blurt it all out, get it done, and then come back and refine it. And that way you have that flow, and otherwise you get stuck, and then you lose that creativity because you're just really so hard focused on one point that you get stuck there. So I'm a big fan of just going, cool, this is our rough melody and lyrics for the verse. Let's get the chorus out. Let's get another verse. And then until we kind of put a whole song together, and then let's go back and refine and polish.
So do you think that's something that you've done instinctually? Because you said at university, was there any moment before that in your life where you'd actually put that to the test so you know that's just your nature? Or is it something that you actually consciously decided it's better to be this way?
I think bit of both. I think I naturally did it that way. And then, sometimes you write assignments with other people or you do songs with other people, and then their process is kind of very structured. We have to finish this to get to this.
Right.
I just felt it was taking too long, and it was just bothering me it takes so much longer. Sure, by the whole finishing point, you have a way, you have a completed product essentially.
Yeah.
But it was just hard for me to keep going. It's kind of like I just got like bored with it. So that's my best way to do it, is just keep it, get out, refine it a couple of times, and then we're good.
The reason why I'm asking all these questions is because I always find the work process really interesting, but also because I do think some people who are writing, whether it's songs, books, whatever, can really trip themselves up on what you've just described, which is that moment of going, oh no, I want to refine this right now, when that creative flow is such a force, and it can really carry you to a fantastic place if you let it.
I totally agree with that. I really agree. Just let it keep going.
Yeah. I interviewed Michael Carpenter, the producer and also performer, recently, and he was telling a story about a band he was in years ago, where he said, they spent 90 minutes discussing whether or not they should try an idea, said that they didn't do it. And as a producer, he actually just is a big fan of just let's try the idea.
Let's try the idea. Instead of arguing about it, let's just do it. And then we can go, all right, that didn't work, move on.
So when you're in the studio with Jared, is there a bit of that? Like you will record something and you might think, okay, not quite right. Let's try something else, moving on. Let's not get stuck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We'll even to the point, like we'll have a song written and then kind of start producing it and then go, no, doesn't work. And then we'll move on and start the next one, which is good. I think it's really good. I think as songwriters, write as much as we possibly can, and don't get too attached to songs or too attached to how they are, because it might not be the right song for me, but at least you could go to another artist and go, hey, this is a really cool song that might suit you.
Yeah. Have you ever gone back to a song that you stopped halfway through and thought you might come back to, and then you moved on to other things? Has it ever stayed in your mind to the point where you thought, yeah, I do want to finish that?
Yeah, definitely all the time. Like you've got like most of other songwriters, I bet they've got a video roll or the voice recording memos just full of all these half-finished songs that they forget about, and then they come back to it and go, oh, that was really cool. Oh, I've got new ideas for this, and that's all it is really. It just keep coming back and finding things, and they might steal it and bring it to another song or something like that, which is really good.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned that maybe a song isn't right for you. It could be for someone else. Are there songs that you actually have given to other artists?
Not as of yet, actually. But I have written with other artists and then been like, I suppose in a sense, yeah, like this is you, this isn't me. In a sense, but I've never solo written a song and then gone, let's go pitch this to someone as of yet. But definitely going to happen.
Now, you mentioned that Gavin Carfoot approached you about writing the song that became Shoey. Had you written together before this?
I'm going to say, because it was a while ago, to be fair, the song was actually, he pitched it to me. And I don't know if it was very close whether we wrote with him beforehand or after that, with other stuff. But Gav was also my teacher at university too for a year, which was really cool. So it was like a bit of a full circle moment that, like, he'd host a thing called Song Culture and brings lots of musicians into the QT studios, and we all get to jump in a room together and write together, and it's an amazing experience. I was so privileged to be part of it a couple of times. And and through that experience was kind of how I rehashed with him, and it was really cool to get back in and write some songs with him as well.
And it must feel like a really nice compliment that he taught you at university and then he's coming to you to write songs with him.
Yeah, it really is. It really is really cool. Like, it's like, because you really look up to your lecturers because they're teaching you everything you know at that time, and still learning too, and being in the room with people like that as well.
Yeah. So I know that in the Star Maker Grand Final, you have to perform a couple of songs. Was Shoey one of the songs you performed?
No, it wasn't. No, I didn't do Shoey. At Tamworth of the Country Music Festival for the Star Maker performance, I did Drink to That and my latest single later, or soon to be not.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
imagine it's quite a fraught thing, you know, choosing the songs to perform during the festival at the grand final, because it's a big, big moment. There's a big crowd there.
Yeah, and it's kind of a case of like, do you do what you think is best that you most enjoy, or do you do what you think is going to please the judges? Do you do what pleases the audience? And that's that kind of big toss up between which songs do you think are going to land the best, or which ones do you think, okay, I'm better at singing this song than this song, so I'll do this one, but maybe it's not the right song for the day.
Right.
And even down to the order of the songs and what time, like you got to really think about these things. Like, oh, do I play like I did later as my second song because did later as my first song because I thought I'll start small and finish on a big upbeat song, which was Drink to That, my most kind of party song that I've got released at the moment. And or do you finish on that kind of serious note and then give them something to think about that way? So it was really hard to pick which way to do it. Yeah, it was good. I had a great time. It was a really incredible experience, and I'd recommend any musician that's considering applying for the Star Maker just to do it. And even though I only made the top 10 and didn't get the W, it was a really good fact that I made 9 new friends, and I put myself in front of a lot of industry professionals, and also made a lot of fans out of it too, which was great.
I like the fact you say I only made the top 10. Now, this has to be one of the most competitive situations in Australian music to be in. Making the top 10, being a grand finalist is pretty bloody good.
Yeah, and I was pretty stoked and privileged to get that far as well. I really was.
Why did you decide that it was the right time now to enter that competition?
I did consider it the year before as well, and I just didn't think I was ready as an artist. I hadn't had enough music out or been doing a lot at that point. Whereas this time I released had a year of releasing and did some songs and some really good shows, and had that under the belt as this Jake Whittaker thing that I'm doing these days. And so I thought, let's do it. And also my amazing publicist, Beck Gracie, who you know as well, she was pushing for me to do it. She's like, you got to do it. It's great. It's going to be a really good thing for you. So I heeded their advice, and it went really well.
Because it seems like quite a commitment, particularly around the festival and leading up to it. I know that all the grand finalists are doing performances here and there, often in their local areas, but then coming up to it all sorts of places. So it would have been a very busy time. And then you have other things you want to do at the festival. So how was your festival in general?
Oh, so good. So much fun. I love going to the Tamworth Country Music Festival. And the thing is that everywhere you look, there's music or there's someone playing or performing or something's happening. It's almost like so overwhelming. Like, I want to see everything, but I can't. Like, how do I get everywhere at one place?
Yeah.
Like, even just from the free shows in the park or the fan zone stage, and then you've got all the ticketed events around town, and then you walk in every pub and something's happening. And yeah, it's you kind of feel like you're hopping around everywhere all the time. But it's such a great environment for that, and networking. There's 1,000 other musicians there and industry professionals that you get to catch up with and chat with, and which is really good. It's just a big 10-day party, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do know what you mean about wanting to be everywhere at once. It's the difficult part of that festival. And I've always wondered for artists whether, particularly when you have an experience like yours where there's so much going on, you get to the end of the festival and in the days after you feel like a little festival hangover, almost like, oh, that's gone.
Yeah. And sorry, and back to the Star Maker part of that festival too. It wasn't too bad actually. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too busy. It was busy enough.
Right.
But we had the show on the Sunday, so we had to be up and early and do our rehearsal, get hair and makeup done. Which they put makeup on me, which I was as horrified as all other boys were about wearing makeup. But
It's for the cameras. It's for the cameras.
Yeah, for the cameras apparently. And then back in for the show, and then we had a couple of interviews after, and I did 2 or 3 other shows attached to Star Maker and the parade. So throughout the week, it wasn't too intense. It was enough. It was really good, actually. And lots of good support from Cheryl and Tom and the team too.
Well, the next time makeup's put on you, Jake, if it is, just think of it as really thick sunscreen.
Thick sunscreen, I like that.
Is it well protected? Now, yeah, so your 2024 started in a big way at that festival, and it's going to continue in a big way because you are to become a father in the next few months.
Yes,
so have you started to think about whether, when is the right time to put a guitar into Junior's hands?
Oh, as soon as he can start strumming, even if it's not making good sound, it's straight away. Yeah, 100%. He's gonna love it. Hopefully, it's gonna be guitars, dirt bikes, and rugby like me. So,
and of course, you get some singing in doing lullabies.
exactly. Hopefully, I can put him to sleep with probably not Shoey. Might not be very responsible or acceptable, but we'll get us some nice songs.
Now that I'm thinking about it, singing a baby to sleep must be a good opportunity to work up some acoustic versions of songs.
Definitely. Some nice, very soft lullabies. That'd be good for him.
Yeah, but
Pretty
lullaby
practice.
version of Shoey though. They've got to introduce him to the lifestyle. So apart from the baby being a new release this year, what other new releases have you got coming up? Or are you actually, that's a very direct question when you may not be able to say, but are you planning new releases later in the year?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm planning to have a big year releases, and I want to get probably at least 5 singles out this year.
Right.
So I want to have a big year, release a bunch of singles, and in preparation for an album next year.
Okay.
So there's going to be probably every 8 weeks or so a new single coming through, and yeah, it's going to be really good fun, and just writing a bunch of songs and culling a bunch of songs, and writing more songs and getting them out, so we have some good singles.
So when you have recording time booked, are you already thinking, yeah, I'm going to write that song, or do you tend to leave that decision process? As you said, you're going to write Carl, write some more. When does that decision making happen for what you're going to record?
I think ideally you try and have a few songs beforehand before coming in for us. It also depends on how much time you have in the studio. If I've only got 2 days booked, or you kind of have half a day to write a song, and then the other half of the day to demo it, and then another day to completely record it and produce it. But if you have more time, then you've got more time to write more and demo a couple of songs. So, and then you might get a few from that. So it's just, I think, depends on time. And if the least amount of time you have, the more prepared you've got to be coming into it. So I might come in with 3 songs in the pocket and go play them and say, what do you think? What could we do? What's going to suit them? And go from there. And then maybe do a really quick demo on each of them, and then go, yeah, I like that one. Let's finish that off.
So given how well you know Jared and spending time in the studio with him, are you interested in producing, or are you learning about producing while you're there with him?
Yeah, well, I suppose in the Bachelor of Music we did lots of that production and sense. So I can jump on Pro Tools and work it and pull sounds and help with that stuff. But I don't enjoy it as much as just being the artist in the room. So, and I know my strengths, weaknesses, and that isn't a weakness as such, but it's not my strength. And I'm happy to be there and let the pro run the session and keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, yes, it does leave you a lot more free for the creativity to flow.
Definitely.
So looking ahead to this year, there are festivals popping up all the time. I imagine that you are a natural festival candidate. So do you have any books?
I do have festivals booked, but I don't know if I was actually talking to my fiance about this just before you're calling and having a chat, and I said I don't know if I'm allowed to say them yet because I haven't.
Well, then we won't say them. We just know that they're coming.
Yeah. So there's definitely festivals that I'm booked for this year, but can't tell you yet. So keep an eye out, everybody.
Will you play with a band at those festivals, or do you play solo?
Absolutely with a band. That is. My music is written to be played with a band, so every opportunity I'm 100% pushing for that.
And are these regular band members?
Yes, yep. Which is all long-term friends. So Jared plays guitar in the band. I'm very lucky to get him to do that because he's the busiest human in the world. So getting him for a few shows is always great. Reese, also from university, a good mate and a great drummer who plays for a lot of other country acts. and Brad Wild as well. And he actually helped me when I was probably from 17. I did lots of gigs with him as a covers artist growing up through, and taught me a lot about, you know, stage presence, performance, and all that kind of stuff, and being a musician. So it was really cool to bring him back into the band, and he's playing bass in the band now.
Yeah, stage presence is a real element and such a skill, I think, that that when it's going well, the audience doesn't realize it's happening.
Yeah, and I think it is a natural thing, but it's also very much a learned thing. And going and watching that, people perform and command people on stages for that. And I think doing those cover gigs when I was younger, and slogging it out, you know, 4 nights a week, singing Barnsey, was really good for me, because you learn how to handle a crowd and how to be able to change the mood and the environment. And it's really, really good. You know, you see you getting a bit too rowdy in the public and getting a bit upset, so you mellow it down a bit, and then you bring them back up and let people have time to do things. So that's a really good thing, that stagecraft.
Having listened to your singles, I can hear how you could sing Barnsey. Yes.
That's a prerequisite doing pub covers, that's for sure.
Yeah, a whole lot of people yelling out, "Play K-San."
Oh yeah, and I did it. That was my job.
Did you have a favorite Cold Chisel song to cover?
Flame Trees every time.
Right.
Yeah, definitely Flame Trees.
Do you never get sick of it?
Never actually. I still play it randomly to these days. Pick the guitar up and just sing it. It's a nice song.
It's a lovely song, and Lauren Ryan, previous Star Maker winner, does a great job of it. Yep,
it's an excellent cover.
It is. Are there any songs you did ever get sick of when you were playing covers?
Wonderwall, straight up Wonderwall. And that's probably about it.
Look, that really says a lot, that's the one song that you got. I imagine it was because it was requested a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely requested a lot. And I think it's kind of one of the first songs you learn on guitar too. So it's been with me for a long time, that one.
Right. You hashtag over it.
Yeah. So you can safely say, when you come to my original shows these days, I won't be doing Wonderwall.
But you may do Flame Trees.
Maybe, actually, yeah.
You and Lauren at a certain point could find a way to do a duet style.
That'd be nice. It'd be nice to work with Lauren. She's a really lovely girl.
Yeah, and she's a fantastic performer. Now, a song that people can hear when they come to your gigs is Shoey, which is your latest single, and hopefully one day people will actually be yelling it at you as a request.
Yeah, well, I feel like with CMC coming along, I'm hoping it might become part of the CMC soundtrack, because I know the Shoeys are pretty big over at the festival. So
yeah, right. That sounds like a very feasible thing. And of course, that was my natural segue to say that people can listen to Shoey, which is out now. And Jake, it's been so interesting and fun to talk to you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.